Test, 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 1, 2. I think that's it right there. Maybe now that's it. Okay. Sorry, my look, this is why Mike is my hero. Okay. Mike just hooked me up. He told me that you guys couldn't hear me. I forgot to switch from my MacBook volume or microphone over to the Rodecaster Pro. So I think I'm good. All right. So, like I was saying before you couldn't hear me, I have been on vacation for 2 weeks, and now I'm back, and we've got a great show for you today. We are going to dive inside the mind of a wedding planner extraordinaire. You guys make sure you get your questions and everything ready, because I know I have mine ready. We're going to have a good time and stuff today, guys. And let's go ahead and get this thing started. So, this young lady needs no introduction. She is one of South Carolina's best wedding planners. She has done it and seen it all, and we go way, way, way back. And so it is my pleasure to welcome in our special guest, Miss Meagan Warren.
Hi.
Hey, what's happening? What's happening? Oh, man.
Okay?
Yeah, I can hear you. You guys make sure you give a thumbs up in the chat. Make sure that you could hear Meagan, because once we get started, we're just going to be rolling. And don't make the same mistake I did and have your setup set up on something completely different when it was supposed to be on something. It's just one of those technical things. So let me know. I need to hear. Oh, goodness gracious. All right, let me know. Give me a thumbs up in the chat if you can hear. Okay, good. All right, I see some thumbs up here. All right, so Meagan, what's going on? How are you?
I'm good. How was vacation?
Vacation was fantastic. It was a great way to recharge the batteries, and now we are ready for the second half of the year.
Yeah.
So it is good. I want to dive just right in. I'm so excited for this episode. This idea came to me a while back, and I just thought, I get so many questions that I can only give my perspective from, and most people don't really believe when I say certain stuff. And so I'm just like, you know what? Why don't we get a perspective from somebody else on who has to deal with DJs and bands and things of the sort? So my first thought was you, and I was like, This will be perfect. This will be perfect. These guys can ask all kind of questions because I have tons and tons of DJs in the chat, and you've dealt with us for the longest. I know.
So we do. I don't know when our first wedding was together. Was it like 2012,
Oh man,
2010? It's been a long time.
it has been a long time, but we've done
We're
so
not that
many.
old.
I was going back through some photos and I'm like, yeah, I remember this wedding. I remember this wedding. Yeah, this is a Meagan wedding. Yep, this is a Meagan one. Like it is absolutely insane how many weddings we have done, but you have seen it all because you've seen it from when you started all the way up until where you're at now.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it has just been insane. And now you do some of the biggest weddings in the state and even outside of the state. So definitely want to pick your brain over some of this stuff. So let's jump right into it.
Okay.
All right. So some of the questions came to me from social media. So I'm just going to ask them on here. And then some of the questions just came from me. But these are real simple. This is just your opinion. And I want everybody in the chat to realize that these are the opinions of Meagan. And anything that I say is just my opinion. It's not written anywhere that it has to be this way. But this is just our thoughts. So you can see that we think pretty similarly. So, all right. So, one of the questions that came from social media was, why would a couple choose a band over a DJ?
I mean the live performance aspect of it. I mean bands are much more expensive because I mean all the multiple people. But I found that the bands that cost, over the $18,000 range, I don't want to say are divas, but they are you need hotel rooms and you need to have transportation for them and they need hot meals and they won't learn certain songs. So I guess there's pros and cons to everything. I have a lot of couples that actually one yesterday, she was like, for our first dances, I want the original songs played. Like, I don't want the band to perform. So I mean, good, that's good for y'all because sometimes bands can't play the original song. And in an ideal world, if the budget allows, it's awesome when we can have a band and a DJ at the event. Not if the budget allows, but
So a lot of the guys in here think that bands are kind of like a flex on trying to like upstage another bride that they may have seen, or just say that, a band adds a bit more luxury or elegance to the event, but that may not necessarily be the truth. They just may not want a DJ. They just want live instruments because they're fans of it, or is it sometimes that they're just trying to kind of, put the fact out that we had a live band at our wedding? Does that happen, or is that happen more often?
I think it's more of the live instrument.
Okay.
I have a lot of when they want a band, they're like, oh, are they going to have a saxophone, or can we add horns, or are they going to have a trumpet? So I think maybe it's that aspect.
Okay.
And then I think sometimes it's, again, I'm real transparent, especially with these country club weddings.
Right.
I think it's sometimes the parents wanting to maybe outdo, I don't want to say outdo, but if they were like, oh, well, they had this band, we're going to have this band.
Right.
I don't know. I just do what they ask me.
So what's the process like, I guess, for having a couple to kind of choose, like, I guess when you first start off and you get to this portion where you get to music, do they ask you what you would recommend, or do they already know? And if they say band, are you getting somebody local, or are you getting somebody, from another place? Like, I know you said some bands are kind of divas. Like, are they from out of town, or it's like local bands?
Columbia has some awesome local bands. I love like Reggie Sullivan, Don Russo. So no, when I initially meet with a couple for the first time, and usually mom is there, sometimes dad. I always tell them the process once we have the date, the venue, the first two things we look at are music and photographer.
Right.
So if they want a certain band or certain DJ, like we need to book them now because you can't do two events in the same day.
Right.
So we do book it pretty early on before we even kind of discuss like what we want to spend where. As far as bands, we're in Columbia. A lot of times we'll use bands. So I reach out to East Coast Entertainment. Doug Baker I think he's president there, but I just send him the date, the budget range, the location, and say, hey, my couple really loves country or shag or whatever it may be. And he'll send me usually 6 or 8 bands to choose from. From that, I send it to the couple and I say, hey, from this list, these are my top favorites. Stay away from this band. And if I say stay away, they might have, announced something incorrectly or didn't read my timeline or were divas and, were calling me at the ceremony, couldn't find their hotel room, so because bands are expensive. So,
oh yeah.
I mean, if we're paying you this amount of money, you better be kind of spot on.
Right.
But like Reggie Sullivan, he's here in Columbia. He can do a 3-person band, a 5-person band, and 2. It kind of comes back to your guest count. I always tell couples, you don't want a 15-person band if you have 100 people. Like it's going to swallow your crowd.
I agree.
Whereas if you have 350 people, then 15 people is, great. But no, I mean, like Reggie, like you, I mean, we work so well together because I'm like, Reggie, do we need to feed you ahead of time? Do you need anything? He's like, I'm good. I'll just, eat from the stations. I'm like, okay. But some bands are like, we have 2 vegetarian, a pescatarian. We can't eat gluten, blah, blah, blah.
Oh my gosh.
They're paying you thousands of dollars. But I guess it's part of it. I don't know.
Yeah. Wow. You're right. Wow. I thought we were divas, man.
Oh, you're good.
Oh my goodness. Wow. So there's some insight for you guys right there. The difference between having like 7 and 8 people set up for this big show, and you have to take care of each one of them. And that, man, did I hear you right? You said like 18,000. Jeez.
Yeah, I had one couple that, and to me, the bands that are like 13 to 15 are just as amazing as the bands that are 22, 25. And I just think that's crazy. If you want to spend that, go ahead.
Right.
But for example, we had a wedding in June outside, kind of towards Edisto Island. So it was a little warm, but for beginning of June, it was actually really nice. And we'd set up the day before. I had all the power distributed. The lights were done. They get there, the sound guy gets there, and he comes up to me and he's like, either you cut your lighting or we're not performing. And I was like, whoa, whoa, whoa. I'm like, how about like, hey, can we all work together?
Right.
And can I use this plug? And just like, it just went south the whole day after. And then they complained about the stage size. And I said, I asked you about the stage size 10 months ago. Your company okayed it, or your manager, whoever it was. So again, there's diva moments that, the client doesn't ever know. The couple doesn't know.
Right. Because to them, everything went over without a hitch, and there's no behind the scenes at all.
Yeah.
But we know that's different.
I would say 9 times out of 10, any outdoor event, even if the venue says they have enough power, just get a generator, because once the hot lamps are plugged in and the lights and the disco balls and the, speakers and all the things start blowing. And, generators, it's minimal cost. But now, because if you lose music, you're done.
Oh, yes. The whole
it's just
thing.
The party's over. So, yeah.
So, so let me ask this: like, okay, so you've seen, the difference between the two. You've seen that DJs can play a multitude of music, and bands are kind of limited to how much music they can play, and then they kind of play. In this day and age, I'm starting to get a lot of couples who don't want whole songs, who don't want, and I know bands, they kind of take music and kind of drag it and kind of drag it just because they're performing and people are coming up on stage, so a song can last 10 minutes and things like that. Like, is that a problem for bands, the fact that they can't play but so much music? Like, do couples enjoy that? Are they still okay with that, or would they rather hear like just a whole bunch of music, or is it just because music's playing they're good?
So I'd say that the couples, they enjoy the interaction
Okay.
of, maybe the lead singer coming down off the stage or something.
Okay.
But to the other point, I have some couples that say, I do not want to get on that stage. Don't you dare let me up there. I don't want to be up there. Um, because certain bands are known for having the bride play a guitar or something.
Right.
Um, I forgot what I was going to say. Oh, the thing with bands too, per their contract, they will play 3 hours nonstop or 4 hours with a break.
Okay.
And there's no budging. Like if it's time to go, they're like, it's time, we're leaving. And so there's not really that wiggle room of, oh, hey, Jason, I need you to play 3 more songs.
Right.
Dad doesn't want to go home. There's not that option.
Oh
Or
wow.
if there is, then you're going to pay a pretty penny. So I guess that's the tricky part with bands, because they're there, they're performing, and then they're back on the road to get home. Um,
Gotcha.
so there's not like so much that one more song. It's no, our contract's done. We're leaving.
Wow. I
Yeah.
wish we could say that. Hey, contract's over. I'm out of here. Pull the plug.
Yeah.
Everybody leave. Everybody going.
Yeah.
Come on.
Yeah. And I mean, some bands are not as strict, like give 5, 10, 15 minutes, but some are like hardcore. They're stopping at, 9:58 because the reception's over at 10.
Okay.
So,
Okay. Well,
yeah.
good. Now we kind of see the aspect of what it all takes to have a band, and it sounds like that as long as you get a good one, kind of like with a DJ, as long as you get a good one, it shouldn't be any problem, and the divas
Yeah,
are the
absolutely.
divas,
Yeah.
as with everybody.
Yeah. I won't say name.
Right, right. So, I guess for the DJ aspect of it, like when a DJ is kind of first starting out, because I get a lot of DJs on here who are just kind of trying to get their feet wet, and they always ask me, how can I get more business? How can I drum up more business? And I'm always like, well, you probably need to get in with a group or a team, to be able to kind of get started off so that they can kind of shop you out, or you can go to a venue, or you can, go to a networking event, something like where they would have things like planners to
Hmm.
go to. But at what point do you trust I guess like a newer DJ? Like if somebody just came on the scene and you kind of want to give them a chance, but you're like, oh, I kind of have my DJs that I deal with. Like, how does a new person kind of make their way into your vendor list?
Well, that's hard. So
Oh yeah.
I have a lot of random vendors that will reach out and email me and say, hey, I'd really love to work with you. Will you be on my vendor list? Um, I mean, it's like us, you were with a different company, and
Right.
then we started working together, and we just synced a little bit better
Oh yeah.
than some of the other DJs. And so I was like, all right, any event, let's have Jason.
Right.
Um, it, I mean, a lot. Well, now I've been doing it so long that I'm telling the bride who to book.
Right.
But starting out, years ago, sometimes the bride had already booked a DJ or booked this photographer. So, and sometimes that was a good ending, and
Hmm.
sometimes it wasn't.
Right.
So there were
Right.
some newer DJs that sometimes they did work out and it was great, and I would recommend them again. Um, there was one wedding. This was like, I think 2011, maybe in Florence, and
Mhm.
the groom hired his fraternity brother to DJ.
Oh boy, those are
And
always
oh
fun.
my God, it was during the first dances. The whole, I think it was the either the mother son or father daughter dance, and the music stopped and was like, "You've got mail, you've got mail," and everybody, like, I was mortified because, and I think too, just going back to, like, just if you are gonna do this, be a professional vendor. Have, even if you're new, just, you're going to make mistakes, but have the right equipment, like make sure your email thing is signed off, like,
Right.
and two, like you said, like local associations, like the Bridal Association, or if there's like national, I'm sure there's like national DJ associations that y'all could probably join and network with, and, you know, trade stories, good, bad.
Yeah. I mean, there are definitely a plethora I mean, they could even go to just a bridal show if they wanted to. I
Right.
mean, you can pay your money and get you a table and set up there doing a bridal show and advertise there if you want to. But it's always tough to start out because you have to build rapport. And,
Hmm.
and one of the things that has been great with you is that, over the years when you build that rapport, it's almost like you could disappear and I could still read your mind. And you're
Yeah.
the same way
Yeah.
with me. Like, I know once I leave to do this, Jason's fine. Or I know if Megan's not in the room, I'm good still. I know
Yeah.
what's happening, what's going on. And it's one of those things that you just build over time. So when you get these opportunities, you're right. Make sure your equipment works. Make sure your laptop's not going to die. And make sure you're not getting emails in the middle of the first dance song. Make sure, all these things. And, you get really one audition because that's the lasting impression that both, I mean, I have the same thing with planners. Like, planners like yourself have spoiled me. And so when I go to somebody new, I have an expectation up here,
Yeah.
and as soon as that's not met, it's like, okay, well, so
Yeah.
it's like, do you know any planners? Yeah, not that one. You know what I'm saying? It's just one of those things. So I mean, I can kind of see. So on flip sides, it can be a little interesting.
Well, and I would say for any musician starting out that wants to work a wedding, whether it's a band or a DJ or cocktail hour or saxophonist, communication is like key. There is this band I will not work with anymore because, I mean, this was a long time ago, but they would always announce the bouquet or garter toss when I wasn't around.
Yeah.
Like, and I'm like, oh my God, they're throwing the bouquet. And like, they didn't check in, they didn't have eye contact, they didn't give me a thumbs up.
Oh, okay.
And so I think that's part of the whole reception flowing well, is like, hey, Jason, cake in 5 minutes.
Right.
Okay, actually wait 10 minutes.
Right.
Okay, we're good. Heads up. Or, giving cues for, okay, don't do first dances. I don't have mom and dad yet. Or, it's just, whether it's a band or a DJ, we all have to work together,
Have to.
and it's a team, like cater, it just, everybody's got to communicate. So if you're if you're a newer DJ or band, like, don't go rogue and just do what you want to do when you want to do it. Like, check in with somebody. um, yeah.
Yeah,
So
it's little stuff like that. Even though you say it's kind of, I know it's kind of like, these are basics, but some people don't know that. Some people
yeah,
truly don't know that. They're like, as soon as you say, "Hey, we're gonna go ahead and do the garter bouquet," they're like, "Okay, I'm already set. I don't have a problem. Let me just finish out this song." Complete silence. Megan's not in the room. What are we gonna do? Garter, Megan, are we gonna do
yeah,
garter? You know what I'm saying? But
yeah,
if you don't say that to them, hey, we're gonna need 5 minutes. Like, this is all a communication thing. This is how a day runs completely smooth. And I had to learn that because I've had times where I've been told, we're gonna do the garter bouquet, and we're gonna do it right now. Okay, cool. So music stops and there's nobody, and I'm like, yep, we're gonna do garter and bouquet. Man. Where is it? Anybody? And and it's just kind of like that awkward silence, and it makes it look like it's unprofessional. It just does. So little things play a major part here. Let me jump into the chat here. A couple of guys have some of the questions, and it looks like a lot of them are kind of similar. We've got, what is a good way to introduce yourself to a planner that you've not yet had an opportunity to work with? Videos, like how do you? I guess he's asking, how do you like kind of show yourself to a planner? Like like kind of audition for you to be able to do an event for you.
I mean, I would say it's hard for DJs, bands, videographers to kind of like share your work because a lot of it is audio related.
Mm-hmm.
So video, absolutely. Like if I have a couple, when let's say they narrow down to like these two different bands or musicians, they want to see video. So a lot of times I'll send them my iPhone videos of like, hey, look at, this is how they interacted with the crowd, or these were their outfits or whatever. So I think sharing videos for sure. Or for newer DJs, if he or she's I don't want to say at a wedding, but if there's another type of event, like whether it's a corporate event or we've done some fashion shows together, like invite them to that, or if they can stop in and just see the setup, or like I've seen you at events at the zoo, or just random things that you could invite them to. But yeah, videos, just good videos.
Would you say like what about like your social media? How do you ever refer like a couple to go look at their Instagram? Like it looks great.
Absolutely.
And what's the expectation that you have as a planner for a vendor's Instagram? Like what should it look like?
Good. I mean, if you so I'm real big on like, I have a business account and I have a personal account, and they kind of cross over, but like keep your business Instagram focused on your business. So, if it is videography, show your videography. Don't show your 2-year-old and your puppy that you're, I don't know, just, but yeah, I mean, Instagram, it's free marketing.
Yeah.
So why not? And then all these, I'm still learning about like the cap cut and all this stuff. My husband's all about it, but like TikTok, I mean, go on TikTok, show your work on TikTok, and then just share it on Instagram and you're good. Like free stuff.
Yeah, that is free advertisement. And I have preached it so many times that your Instagram should look like you DJ. Like it should, I have 2 accounts, but both of them are DJ related. But if I wanted to put something on my regular account, I could, but on my business page, it's all business. It's venues, it's vendors, it's all things that I offer, all things like that kind of separate me. And then I have videos and clips of people dancing, of me DJing. I've got reels, and these are all DJ related. I can't tell you how many couples say, hey man, I saw your Instagram and I want you. That's who I want right there. And it's like, if mine didn't look like that, it's like, what can you refer them to? I mean, if your Instagram is not good, 9 times out of 10, your website is not going to be good. 9 times out of 10, you don't have a YouTube. You don't have anything for them to be able to see. And in this digital age, you've got to have something to showcase yourself. That's why I did YouTube for, I don't know, what is this, year 10 now? Just putting out content, videos, and all this stuff. So there's no question on what you're getting from me. You don't even have to question what I do, how I do it. I've got all my work right there on display, and it just makes it easy.
Yeah. And I know it's hard to like post. I don't post every day, but if you go back to a vendor and they haven't posted or shared anything in, let's say 2 months or several months, then I'm like, are you in business still?
Yeah.
And 2, almost every wedding, the photographer's taking pictures of the DJ, the band, the cake, everybody. So try and, some planners will remember and email the gallery to every vendor.
Yep.
Sometimes they don't. So, don't be afraid to follow up with the couple and be like, hey, I'd love some, if you share your wedding gallery or tag me, or, because even though you're playing music, like you
Yeah.
were there.
Yeah. See, this is why I said we have the same mind. Like, see, this was not rehearsed, guys. This is stuff that I truly have said. Be befriend the photographer, because even if you don't know the photographer, you're going to get 100 different photographers. If they can send you 2 pictures of you DJing, you've won.
Right.
You've already won,
Right.
because you can take what you've posted and put what they've given you, and you can make all kind of stuff. That can go on your website, that can go on your Instagram. It's very, very simple, but you just have to network while you were there. Have cards ready. Ask, hey, can I follow you on IG? Can I reach out to you? And you'll be surprised. A lot of photographers will kind of return the favor to you, especially if you were great, and especially if you had everybody with glow sticks and all this stuff. You want pictures like that. You want pictures of couples having good times, because that sells you to other couples. Just makes it that much easier. Some of these other questions look like they were kind of the same. Let's see. What would you say is the best way to get our foot in the door of working with wedding planners that we've never worked with before? I think you answered that.
And another, I was going to say, for the DJs are like starting out and learning their way in weddings, like one thing that I really appreciate that you did was you would always, before we introduced wedding party, or even if it's just bride and groom, like, come get with me. We're in the hallway or wherever, and we're going through their names. And so we know exactly how to say their last name. Some some DJs will, butcher the name or say it wrong, and it's a crowd bummer. Like, so,
Yes.
take a couple minutes, go with the wedding party, make sure we're lined up right, the names are right, and then we're good. We're like golden. Yeah.
I could not agree more. I do it. I want to say every event except for when they give me just first names. And usually, if they give me first
Right.
names and they're basic, I'm usually good at that. But you're right. Some of these names. Oh my goodness. Some of these names are. I have butchered some names. I've definitely butchered some names. All right. Let's see here. Don't forget, if you have a question, make sure you put hashtag ask in the comments, and we will see if we can get to that. Let me get to some different stuff here. So, one of the most controversial topics that I've had on here that I get a lot of kickback from other DJs is setup. Now,
Oh,
DJ starting out may not have the incredible setup as a DJ who, is like $2,000-$3,000. How much does a DJ setup, like, just the look of it, and what because you plan the entire thing. You've got different vendors setting up this elegant setup with these golden chairs and golden plates and silverware, and then a DJ comes in and you could see their wires. Like, how much does setup play a part as far as like reusing them again?
right. For my clients now, or at least for me, design plans like 110%. Because it's, starting when I started out, you're learning, but
Right.
no,
Right.
now it's a huge part of it. And um, because I don't really give my musicians much options. I say, okay, I mean, I check with them and make sure the stage and the area that you're working from is good, but whether it's a stage, the skirting, the wooden facade, it's all big picture with the whole design plans.
Right.
So, um, if you're a DJ and you don't have a beautiful setup quite yet, maybe the planner can rent you a nice wooden structure or bar to work from behind. I would say, again, these are for couples that have the higher end budgets,
Right.
and design is really important to them, and they want everything cohesive.
Right.
Um, so sadly enough, like, we don't want to see like logos or like a huge banner with your name. Like, we want you to be pretty and handsome behind your area. So, I mean, just clean. You don't want wires everywhere, whether you're a DJ or a band. Like, um, it's fans. We've had some vendors bring fans, because they're performing, they get hot. So
Right.
that's usually very subtle.
Right.
But it's super important, especially if you're a DJ charging on the higher end, like either present options to the planner, like, hey, do you want it all white? Do you want it all black? Or do you want to provide the setup, or even attire? Like,
That's what I
I
was going
have
to get into
some,
next.
yeah, I mean, I have some bands that say, hey, do you want us in all black? Do you want us in black and white? Definitely always ask, like, is this a formal black tie wedding? Is it a cocktail party? Is it outdoors? What type of event is it, and what are guests wearing? And then you kind of need to reflect that.
Okay.
Um, but usually, I mean, and this is the same for like catering companies. Sometimes we request them, like, hey, can you wear all black instead of your normal black pants and white shirt? Or
Right.
hey, we had a gala back in January, and we ordered custom bow ties for all the catering staff and all the
Oh, wow.
bartenders. That was the color of the branding for the client. So, and it wasn't a huge expense. It was Amazon, like,
Right.
$10 bow ties, but it just elevated the whole room.
Right.
So, but yeah, definitely ask. And yeah, just clean. If you're just starting out, just make it clean, make it presentable. Um, you know,
Does it matter the color of your equipment? I mean, some guys say, why do you have all black set up, but then you have like white skirts, or why do you, does it make a difference if it's all uniform, all white, or can it be white and black, or does it just matter? I mean, does it just kind of go with whatever your setup looks like? Like, should it just be all
I
white?
think all black or all white or black and white. I mean, just as long as it's like not something crazy and
Right.
flashy.
Okay. And attire the same way. Like, don't be wearing no sequence jackets or crazy stuff like that, trying to be center of attention, things
Yeah,
like
I
that.
mean, unless they ask for it, but
Most couples.
I always say we're there to, like, me and my girls, I'm like, wear black. We don't need to stand out. We're there to work.
Right.
But, musician, you're a little bit, because you're kind of in the middle of everybody. So I think it's okay if you want to have maybe some sequence here or there. But
Ooh,
again, just ask the planner, ask the couple, and it just depends on the venue. Are you
true.
at a country club, or are you outside, at a historic garden where you're going to die of death? It's going to be hot. So it'll,
Okay. Okay. Um, so, what are some of the most important factors what are the qualities that a DJ should have that a planner really looks for, as far as like them picking them? Like, what qualities should they have? Is it how they work the room? Is it just able to follow instructions? Is it the way the party is going? Does that just finalize everything? I mean, because the reason I ask is because we get some DJs and some guys come on here and they talk about, putting the thing on auto mode and just letting the thing play, and being interactive with the couple, even though they may not require that. Playing whole songs. A lot of this stuff is, I guess, some of the newer couples, because I just started hearing it after COVID. Newer couples want a little bit more. Like, they just want somebody to play a whole bunch of music. Like, don't give me just 60 songs. I want to see if we can get to 125. Like, I want you to just give them to me. Just song, 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 song. We don't want to hear whole songs. Like, what does that help solidify a DJ, or does that separate one DJ from the next? Like, how does that help? What makes you determine between one guy and another guy if they're similarly priced? Let's just say that.
I mean, as you know, like, I have my favorites and my go-to,
Right.
but I would say that in the past couple of years, that what you were saying, like multiple songs, not playing a whole song and then go to the next song, like transitioning in from one song to another, and having the DJs be a little more interactive. Like maybe there's like, and I don't know that this the right word, but like the mixing board or whatnot. And
Yeah.
Being, I would say being a little flexible because, some couples will be like, I want you to play these 30 songs, but you don't want to shut down somebody if they're like, hey, can you play this last minute? It's this person's birthday or whatever. So being a little bit flexible, but
Right.
not so flexible that the drunk wedding guests are, you know, planning your playlist for the rest of the night. Like you've got to have a little bit of a boundary, but I think a big thing is personality. Like, I mean, I started, working with you so much because you didn't have that like cheesy, oh, we're going to bring out crazy party hats and like put feathers around. Like
Right.
you were there to, like, for the people to get on the dance floor.
Right. Right.
And communication very well. And a lot of, I mean, this goes for any vendor, but
Mhm.
just answering emails and getting contracts in a timely manner is huge. No matter what vendor you are, I think majority of my job or time spent is following up with vendors saying, "Hey, did you get this? Oh, hey, can I have the contract?" Or, "Hey, mom's waiting on the invoice. We're ready to pay." So just being quick to respond.
I love response time. I think you were one of the reasons why I make things so quick, and it's still so relevant today. I get a lot of compliments when somebody inquires about an event. The first thing that they say when I send back is like, "Oh, I wasn't expecting you to respond so quickly. Thank you for the quick response." And I'm just like,
Yeah.
I don't know what everybody else is doing. Like, what
Yeah.
if you get an inquiry, like respond, say
Right.
something, because they're waiting. Especially if a coordinator reaches out to you, a planner reaches out to you, you have to respond. They're reaching out to you because they have already referred you.
Right.
You could possibly
Yeah.
be missing a
Well,
date right there.
I mean, and if you have a bride or a groom or a corporate, person reaching out, they're probably shopping around because they don't know
Right,
any better.
right,
So again, I've, answering quickly, they will stop shopping if
right,
you are there to communicate. So
right.
yeah.
I cannot tell you how. Oh, that is a pet peeve of mine. I will get back to you the quickest, but that leads me into my next issue. So, like when you refer a vendor, and a vendor gets back to them, like I guess the whole holdup, when a couple takes a little longer to respond. Like usually, if you recommend, isn't it like almost like 90% a green light? Because I
Right.
mean
Yeah.
they've really turned over everything to you.
Right.
Like they've said, we want Meagan, and Meagan, we're gonna let you pick all the vendors. We just want to have it here at this time. Go. And then you're finding a makeup stylist, a hair, flowers, DJ, everything, and it's just a
Right.
go. But there's some people who kind of want to kind of dive in, and they're just like, well, why does he cost this much, or why? And they don't respond. So what's a good way to kind of that you've used, that if a bride reaches out to you for a certain date, that you kind of close the deal with them? Maybe there's something that us as DJs we could pick up that we're not doing to kind of solidify more events a little bit faster.
I mean, so I've luckily I've gotten to a place where typically if they hire me, then they're going to trust who I recommend and not question.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I still give them options. Let's say for photographers, for instance, I'll give them 10 or 12 to look at because style wise, they might be all
Right,
different.
right,
But if they come to me and they say, I want a really amazing DJ and, that's priority, then I'm going to be like, okay, we're booking Jason. I'm texting him right now. Like,
right,
so there shouldn't be a question unless, very rarely they'll be like, oh, well, my best friend used this vendor and I'd really like to look into them. I'm like, okay, we'll look, but again, like, but it takes, I mean, it takes time. You can't
yeah,
just do that out the get go when you're just
right,
starting out.
right.
And yeah,
So yeah, like a lot of us are a little bit more seasoned, especially some of these guys. They're a little bit more seasoned on here. So I guess where we're running into problems is, we get to inquiry. Meagan reached out and said that you were a great DJ. She recommended you. Could you send me some of your pricing? So we're like, oh yeah, sure. And we send it out, and then it's like ghost. It's like a ghost town. And it's like, what happened? Like, did you not like the prices? I mean, I was already referred to you,
Yeah.
from Meagan. Like, what? I guess what we're trying to figure out is what are some key points that maybe we can use to help try to close or get a response from a couple, because most couples, when they reach out, if you reach out in a timely manner right back, myself, I always feel like if I send you an email right after you send me an email, you should still be looking at your phone.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But sometimes they kind of give me like long periods.
Yeah, I think again, if they are on a set budget or a tighter budget and you don't hear back, then maybe they're not for you.
Okay.
It's there are a lot of vendors that don't want to put pricing on websites and give out but you could say, hey, our fees start at X amount, depending on the hours of coverage or whatnot. Like on my website, I have like a little inquiry form that they fill out. And if they don't have the kind of budget that we typically work with, then it saves my time, it saves their time. There's not this like awkward emailing that's like, you don't want to be like, no, I can't work with that budget, but it just, so whether, your starting fees for DJ services are 1,000 or 1,500,
Right.
And people still, if you put it on the website, people still don't read.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
So,
Oh, I know.
And two, it's just educating them. Like people just don't realize what weddings cost nowadays.
Right.
I mean, every year, everything's going up. Rentals are crazy compared to 2 years ago.
Yeah, I agree.
So it's okay if you sometimes don't hear back or wasn't meant to be.
Right. Right. And I kind of, I've been trying to train my brain that very statement that you said, everybody's not for you. So even when I get a no, or we decided to go in another path, I used to kind of beat myself up a little bit and say, well, why didn't you go with me? You already inquired about me. So you must know something about me, but why didn't you go with me? But now I'm just kind of like, if you didn't like what I sent you already, then we probably weren't going to be a good fit. So it's okay. Yeah. It's okay. And a lot of DJs will ask me on here about pricing. How much does pricing play a factor when you're recommending? Like if you see one DJ cost $1,000 and you see another one costs $1,800 as far as like a basic service, like how much does cost play a factor? Are you going to go with the higher person, or what helps you make that decision?
So if you'd asked me that 15 years ago, it probably would have been like, but my couples have been like, well, that's a big difference, but it's not. Like if, I've had some, like I had one couple last year that they were deciding between two different bands, and one was like 15 and the other one was 22,000. And I was just like, y'all, that's a lot of money. And I just don't like, that's going to cut into other things. And they were like, we don't care. That's who we want. I'm like,
wow.
Okay. Like, so I think when you start working with certain budgets, that shouldn't matter. That's like, again, like between us, $800, that's a lot, but to big picture, it's probably pennies to them.
Yeah. Especially if they have a high budget wedding, if they're paying, $30,000, $40,000 for a wedding, what's $800? It's like, just pay it.
They don't care. So I think you just have to, figure out that it takes a long time to figure out that market and who that is and where they are and what the venues are. Yeah.
Okay. See, this is all insight. This is all great stuff, Meagan. I mean, you're giving so many insights and gems here, because people don't believe me when I say, I've been doing this a long time. I've seen a lot. I've studied people, and this is how people operate. And I've
Yeah.
talked to coordinators. I've worked with you, and like I know the behind the scenes. I know what I'm talking about. So you're just reassuring everybody. So a lot of the stuff that I had been saying, I've got videos on, and I'm just trying to educate the next group of people on this is how you move. This is how you kind of grow your business if you're going to grow something. So you're giving
Yeah.
so many great points here. This is
Well,
fantastic.
if like in the wedding planning world, there's, conferences and luxury business summits that I can go to, and you meet other vendors from other areas and you see what they're charging, and it's just like mind blowing. I'm like, why am I not doing this? So,
Right.
um, and every market's different.
Right.
New York, obviously, their wedding budgets are crazy compared to ours, but
They're the giants.
yeah, I mean, starting out, I remember there was a wedding that I found out that the cake cost more than what I was charging, and I was like, well, I mean, they're eating the cake, and here I am, schlepping linens and breaking down. So, raise prices. We're raising rates.
Oh my goodness. We talk
Yeah.
about this all the time. I put up a screenshot of like Jersey and New York. And you were right. Like the cake was more. It cost more for the cake than it did the photographer and the DJ. So oh
Yeah.
man, that is so true. That is so true.
Yeah.
Oh,
I think too, the what you charge, it's also, do you want to do weddings every day of the week, or do you, want to do two in a weekend or one every month or whatever. So I think that's part of it. Yeah,
okay.
in the area, but I think listing some sort of starting point on your website is probably helpful, because then again,
Weeds
it
that.
takes a lot of time for you not to say,
Right.
oh, it just wasting your time, their time, not hearing back from emails and wondering what happened. Like, just be upfront, be like, you know what, I started 1,500, and if they're like, ooh, well, sorry.
Sorry, that's a start. We're
Yeah,
not negotiating this. I've been doing this too long. I know what your
yeah,
day consists of. This is where we're
yeah,
starting. I love it.
yeah.
I love it. So when you said that, that brought up a thing here. So when you put like your starting range on your website, do you then offer services like individually, or do you offer like package tiers that you offer? Like maybe there's three different packages or two different packages for your couples to select from. Like either we can do, basic, but it's still going to be starting at this, or we can do the extreme and this is what it entails. Like, do you have that, or how do you do it?
Not for me, because I only focus on full service.
Okay.
But for DJs, I would say absolutely, maybe do like your basic tier. I don't want to say basic setup, but like your cleanest setup, simple. Maybe next tier is like, okay, now we have lights, and now we have this, or um, but yeah, I mean, I would offer tiers
Tiers.
with,
Okay.
yeah. Because I mean, y'all can offer, so like, lighting and your setups can be so different.
Oh yeah.
I would give tiers for sure.
Yeah, I'm up to three setups now. I can do
Yeah.
three total setups now, and it just depends on the event. I've learned over time that certain setups are not going to work, and certain setups are good for a lot of your more basic events. Then certain setups, people are like, "I love your setup," and other people are like, the next tier, people are like, "Oh, now this is a setup I haven't seen anything like this." So I have the different
Hmm.
tiers and everything that I work with. And that's another thing that I've been encouraging you guys to absolutely have different setups, because you just never know. And just like Megan said earlier, you can send the planner or you can send the bride these are the different setups I have. Which one would best fit your event? Boom.
Yeah.
There you go. You've got pictures.
Yeah.
Oh man, this is great. This is great. Let's see. Wickman 2A. He says, do you see a lot of clients looking at the DJ booking as lowest on their priority list? Oh, this is a great question. Or have skewed perceptions on how much a quality DJ should cost? So, like, I guess where does music fall on the totem pole of vendors?
I mean, again, it's the first two things we look at: music and photography.
Oh, wow.
So I always ask when I first meet with a couple, I ask the bride, like, what are your top three priorities? And then ask the groom his. And usually 10 out of 10, the groom is like music, food, and booze. That's what the groom wants. So, and bride, obviously the music's important to the bride too. So yeah, to me, it should be one of the first things you book, and it's high priority because whether it's a DJ, a band, or jazz, but whatever, it's what keeps the party going all night. So
right, and I think the most memorable part of a reception, and this might be a little biased, but the most memorable part of a reception is the entertainment.
Absolutely.
I mean, nobody leaves a reception saying, "Man, those flowers were amazing." You know,
Yeah.
Or man, that place setting, man, that was something there. People are like, man, we had a great time. We were drinking, dancing all night long. You know what I'm saying? So I always feel like when the couple puts music or entertainment as a priority on the list, then that makes it easier for them to just say, you know what, I'm going to focus. Yeah, he has so much that he offers right here. I'm going to use him. I'm gonna use him. But if a lot of us and a lot of couples who do reach out kind of put music way down here, like, no, I can get my uncle to do it. That means you don't value music. You don't value your entertainment if you can get your uncle to do it, because why'd you call me?
Or you have a really low budget. And,
right.
You're just trying to do everything by favors.
Right.
Like Sally's making the cake and
right.
Bill's gonna officiate, which is totally fine.
Totally fine.
But yeah,
this is what I cost.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh man, this is great. This is great. Let's see here. Let's see. Okay, here we go.
So, do you see the question from Kevin about the wildest things you've seen? Because I feel like,
oh boy, let me see. Where's Kevin at? Kevin's son. Man, nobody. Kevin's son. Oh, right here. What's one of the wildest things you've seen at one of your weddings? Do tell.
So I think this was our wedding, and I can't say who it was, but
right.
It was many years ago, and I remember it was like maybe we had 4 or 5 songs left, and the grandfather came up to me and was like, "It's time to go. This party needs to stop. It's time to go." I said, "Yes, sir. Like, we're about to do the last dance." Meanwhile, the bride comes up to me, and her grandmother's diamond necklace had broken off, and it was in her dress. And so I tell my girl, Lorianne, I'm like, "Look, take her, find the diamond." Meanwhile, the mom keeps coming up to me and is like, "I can't get in the bridal suite. I don't know where the key is." And I'm like, "Well, I gave it to so-and-so.
Yeah.
And she ended up having to, I think we broke through the window or she got security to unlock it. I don't know. But she walked in the bridal suite, and like, there's like people at the wedding party and some wedding guests doing cocaine on the table.
Yes, I remember this.
Oh my God. Like,
I remember this.
Like, what is happening? And I mean, yeah, like, and then I look back, I'm like, okay, that makes sense if people were like doing handstands on the dance floor and like, oh, okay. But like, what in the world? But yeah,
I remember this. I remember this.
You've probably seen crazier things than me because you're like right there in the front center of people.
Yeah. Yeah, unfortunately, I've seen enough for a lifetime. I mean, I tell all my couples I've seen it all. I literally have. That is not an understatement. We have definitely been through some some events. Let's just say that. We have definitely had some events. Let's see. DJ Eric. Meagan, how difficult is it to get on vendors list? And I'll do my best to use the word of mouth from the wedding planner or stay consistent with the venue owner.
I think if it's like, so there are a lot of venues that have like your one-stop shop, like they do the in-house catering and they have an in-house wedding director or coordinator. Like, definitely get in with those venues and get your name on that preferred list, because if those couples that have that type of one-stop shop are probably on a tighter budget. So for them to hire that venue, you're almost a shoe-in if you're on that list. But with, let's see, getting on, word of mouth and don't be afraid to reach out to planners and be like, hey, I'd love the opportunity to work with you. If you have any, if you'd be open, here's my information. Just reach out, be nice. And why not? They can, and some may not respond, but a simple, I like to respond to, of course, thanks so much. I'll look at your work, be happy to share it with future clients.
See, easy in. The worst you can get is a no. Or a ghost. Either one. That's the worst you can get. It doesn't hurt to put yourself out there and just ask. You never know if you don't ask, and that planner could be your future Meagan. You know what I'm saying? That could be the person you gel with the most, and the person that you have, the most. You're just complimentary to each other. So you've got to start somewhere. You've got to put your cards out there. I have a venue right now that I get, I probably say at least 4 inquiries a month from this venue. And I gave them one card. I've only been there one time, and I get like 4 inquiries a month from this venue because they just keep passing. Here's a good DJ. He was great when he was here. And so it does work. Yeah. It does work. So I would definitely recommend you reaching out and doing that. Let's see.
I would say that if you're reaching out to like other vendors, like planners or coordinators, or whatever, like, and I might be old school, but like do it in a very formal kind of email. Don't message me on Facebook Messenger, be like, hey, let's work, or like even when messages get lost on Instagram, I just be kind of more direct, I think, with whether it's email or. Yeah. So.
Do your numbers on social media matter as a vendor or recommendation? Like, if a good DJ has 300, followers, does that matter, or does the content matter? Because
content.
Okay, yeah. I've heard that numbers matter. Like, people want somebody a little bit more, not really famous, but more well known. I've heard that multiple times too. Like, get your Instagram up. Like, you need to get your Instagram up to thousands of followers. And I'm like, oh, you have what, like 30 or 13,000 followers. Does that help?
I think if, again, like DJs, bands, videography, when it's more audio visual, I think it's harder for y'all just because you can't post a picture and, post a pretty picture like planners or photographers can. So as far as having high followers on Instagram, if you were a photographer and you had like 50 followers, I would probably question that.
Okay.
But
that makes sense.
I think like there was a videographer that I think yesterday I came across them and they filmed this huge, gorgeous wedding in Charleston, and they had minimal followers. It wasn't anything big. And I'm like, how do I not know about these people? Like, they look amazing.
Right.
And they didn't have anything crazy. So, you never know.
Yeah. I agree. I've seen some photographers. I guess they do such a great job with like reels, that their videography / photography thing, they've got them up to like 100,000 followers, and they get booked based on their numbers and stuff that's seen on social media because they want their event to look just like that. So it's crazy. I've heard a lot of different stuff from brides when they reach out to me and they say, "Oh, your IG looks great and stuff in there. Plus, you've got a good many followers." I'm like, "Well, if my content is great, what does my followers make a difference?
Yeah.
Like, why should that
Yeah.
make a difference?" But it's. I have to remember, it's a new day and age. What does that make a difference about?
Yeah. And I
Oh,
think a big one is having good reviews, whether it's on
oh yeah,
the
absolutely.
Knot or Google or whatever. And I'm really bad about this, but there are a lot of photographers that that'll follow up within the week, like, hey, leave us a review. So I think just seeing reviews is super helpful.
That's another great question that these guys ask me. Does it matter where the reviews are, whether it's not reviews or if it's Google reviews? Does it matter where the reviews are?
I would say not, but I don't go look at Google reviews. So I'm
Okay.
probably not a good person to answer that.
But I guess if somebody's listed in the Knot, because a lot of people don't like to pay the price and stuff that it costs to advertise into the Knot, and Google is free. So with the Knot, you get a lot of leads from there. Not necessarily you get actual events from it, but you do get a lot of leads. But a lot of people, they get those little awards and they say, "Oh, Knot, best of the Knot, this time," and they, put that up there, and it's like, "Oh, that's nice." But you got to get that every year, and you got to pay thousands of dollars for advertising on here, and you got to have good reviews on here. And I don't know. I found that word of mouth is probably the best. If you can get enough people to say, "Hey, pick him," I just feel like that's the
Yeah,
way to go.
I agree. I stopped paying for the Knot and Wedding Wire a while back, but I think you can still have like a free listing on the Knot because I
Mhm.
still ask my couples to leave me a review on the
Okay.
Knot, but I don't pay for, the fancy storefront or those award things that they hand out. So I think you can still get reviews on the Knot without paying.
Okay. And how about websites? How big of a factor does websites play? If somebody doesn't have a website, is that kind of, or if the website is there but it's not, polished? How big of a difference does a website
I
play?
would say if you want to raise your rates and charge higher prices, have a good website.
Okay.
Yeah, absolutely. And it doesn't have to have a whole lot on it, but website, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, make it all cohesive,
Make it
same
all work.
business name, same branding.
Yep.
Yeah.
I've learned well. All right. So, lastly, let me just ask you, how important is it to have a great team around you? Now, most of the ladies that you work with now, I've worked with them. They've kind of sprouted out, and some of them can do events on their own. Some of us as DJs are a part of companies, and some of us are company owners, and we're trying to get other DJs under our umbrella. So how important is a great team for you and your business, and how do we introduce somebody that we may have to you? Like if I had another DJ, what's the best way to get him on your radar?
So now, like on a wedding day, I have my same three girls with me every day just because I know they know what to expect, like what my expectations are. They know how like things done. Um, Years ago, I used to let them kind of go do like take a day of, and sometimes it was great, and sometimes they would have bridezillas or it was just terrible, and they'd be like, "Why are we doing this?" I'm like, so it you can go either way. I would say I know like there's some photographers that, especially there's some higher end luxury photographers that have sister companies
Right.
and they brand them as more budget friendly. So you think you're getting, you know, this person, but they give you a sister company. And I think that's totally fine if you know that, okay, this guy works for Jason. If you're already booked and you say, hey, I really think this would be a good fit, I'm going to trust you on that. Oh,
Right.
lightning. Um, so it depends. You know, and it depends on the planner because he or she may say, well, I want you. And if you're booked, then let's look at other dates or, you know, so I think it depends on the client and the budget. You know, if you have a tighter budget, then maybe the sister company is better for them.
Right.
Um, so
Okay. And
yeah.
I noticed that you don't really like send your girls off. Like usually, if you're doing the wedding, your girls are there too. Like you don't have.
We're all there. Yeah.
Yeah, you're all there. You don't have like two things happening on the same day, and you split
No,
out or anything like that.
we used to do that, and it just kind of was chaotic. And was I making as much money? No, because I'm paying them more for being me at another place.
Right.
And um, I've just, and again, it took years to get here, but I really just do ideally one wedding a month, and it's because it's full service. So usually I'm a part of every single detail. It requires more time, and my couples and parents, they expect me to be there all day, every day,
Yep.
and that's actually my girls, my team. That's one of my selling points when I first meet with a couple. I'm like, well, you're going to have Loriana. She's, is going to take care of my parents and grandparents. And then Shanna used to run a venue, so she knows, and then, so that's just, that's part of it. They expect a really good team.
Right.
Yeah.
That's awesome. That's awesome. I mean, you were not lying when you said that we have come a very long
Time. We're getting old.
Yeah, we have come a long way. We have definitely grown in this industry, in this business, and now you're doing one wedding a month. That almost brings a tear to my eye. That's like
I say that in June, but I don't have another one until October. So it's every year's different, and
right.
I don't know about you, but this next year's looking kind of weird.
It is. I'm getting booked, but it's very spaced out. Like I've been booked on beginning of the month and end of the month, but really nothing in the middle. It's weird. It's really weird. And a lot of people have the same date. I'm noticing I'm getting a lot of inquiries for the same day. That's why I asked about the whole introducing another DJ, because I do have another gentleman that I work with, and I've introduced him to a couple of planners, and I just want them to be comfortable when I say, hey, it's not going to be me, but I trust him.
Yeah.
And I just want that to be the case, because these brides, they're harsh. They're like, it's not going to be you? Oh, no, that's okay. Nope, I'm good. I'm like, oh, come on, you got to at least give them a try.
Well, and again, it's back to communication. You're at least telling them, hey, it's not going to be me, but I really think he's a good fit. I've had bands the week of be like, you know what? I've actually got another gig. I'm not going to be there, but this guy, I'm like, wait a minute. Like this whole time I thought you were going to be there. So again, from the get-go, if you're telling them, hey, I'm already booked, but this is my right-hand man, he'll do just as good. Okay.
Yeah. And that's one of the first emails I send is like, I value your day. I think this is how my reading goes of it. It's like, I value your day, and while I have an event, I have another co-DJ that I trust fully. He has been in the business just as long as I have and would do just as great a job as I would. But as soon as they hear that it's not me, it's like, no, I think we're going to go another route. And I'm like, you didn't even give him a chance. You didn't even give him a chance. Like, just give me a second. It's nuts. I'm still trying to get around that. Still trying to make that. So anyway, all right. So Meagan, we are going to go ahead and let you go. We thank you so much for being with us today. This was fantastic. I hope you guys have learned a lot, and you see exactly what I'm talking about. Meagan that's why I said she is the perfect one to come on here and talk to. Thank you so much for your time, and maybe we can do this again another time. It's just good. Just get some new updates on how the business has changed. Yeah. All right. Thank you. All right. You guys can follow Meagan at Meagan Warren on Instagram, and look, keep doing what you are doing, because you're doing fantastic. And congratulations on the trip to Greece. I was very jealous of that.
I had 3 weddings before, and I was like, peace out. I'm done.
You guys were going for like a minute.
It was good. But yeah, I mean, awesome. You Work hard, play hard.
That's right. You're absolutely right. Well, thank you again. And hopefully your lights and everything don't get cut off because of the lightning. It just passed through here, so it shouldn't be too long. So anyway, thank you so much. And we greatly appreciate that.
Thank you.
All right. Bye. All right. So guys, there you have it. We have Miss Meagan Warren on this show today. I told you guys that I just wanted to give you a new perspective, a different perspective from a planner, and you can see that she is fantastic. I've learned a lot of the business from her, and you know, I have a lot of great planners around me that continue to make me into the DJ that I am, and she was one of the first people that I had that believed in me. So you got to have a starting point, guys, but that is, you know, almost a decade of being, you know, on the same page. So I absolutely cannot thank her enough. All right. Some housekeeping stuff here before we get out of here. I am back now. So it is the rest of the year. I should be good. No more vacations that I know of. I do have a couple of Thursday events left of the year, so there may be a couple of shows that I'm not here for. I am working out the details on DJX. So I'm hoping to be able to see you guys. I will, if I do go, it will be on Tuesday. Tuesday will be the only day that I will be there. So if you want to meet up with me, I'm going to try my best to be able to do that. And also Twitch. We are going to be going back on Twitch. If you haven't been following me on IG, I have revamped the Twitch room, and it looks like it is ready to go. So I am going to be testing it out starting tomorrow. Should be either a 12 or 1 o'clock start time on Twitch. So make sure you follow me there and on IG so you can keep up with all the latest and greatest things from me. If you're watching this on replay, I hope you got some nuggets out of this. This has been absolutely fantastic, and I'm glad you guys took the time out to check me out. So hopefully I'll get back to editing some videos. I've got tons of videos ready to go. I've got an event this weekend and every weekend after, because now it is the busy season and we are back. So I hope I got all that out. But anyway, we'll see you guys next time, next week, 7 p.m. EST, right here on Twisted Transitions. And make sure you're living to strive, not to survive. We'll see you again, people. Enjoy your weekend. Kill your events. We'll talk soon.